Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here today at the Attorney Computer Systems World Docs Virtual User Group meeting for October 2014. And today we are lucky enough to be talking about recovering from the salvage bin. A lot of people know how to send something to the salvage bin. It's kind of like the what do they call those things in Windows, Mary Jo? Recycle bin, thank you. I'm having a senior moment. But they don't know how. People don't generally know how to get them back. So we're going to show you the secret behind that. And I am going to talk about saving a document under the same profile as a different document. A lot of different reasons that you may want to do that. We'll talk about them. But before I do that, let's take a look real quick here. Maybe. There we go. At this is our GoToWebinar control panel. It looks just like, well, it looks just like the GoToWebinar control panel. This is what you see when you sign in to GoToWebinar. This can be minimized. It can be slid off the right side of the screen. Stop laughing at me, Mary Jo. By clicking this button here that looks like an arrow pointing to the right. Clicking that button will cause this control panel to slide off the screen to the right. When you do that, this button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right will change into a button that looks like an arrow pointing to the left. Clicking it again will cause it to slide back into focus. Why would you want to slide it back into focus? Because you have a question and you're shy. If you don't want to speak live, you can simply type a question here, hit the send button, and Leanne, our humble and has a now undefined moderator, because I couldn't think of a good word for her, is going to recognize that you have a question. She is going to interrupt Mary Jo or myself at the opportune moment, and she is going to ask a question on your behalf. While we are answering your question, keep in mind that you can continue to type questions here, continue to remember to hit the send button, and Leanne will continue to keep asking your questions for you. So if we happen to be not answering the right question or you have follow-up questions, just keep typing them. The other thing to know then, is that this button here that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it means raise your hand. So if you have a question and you're not feeling shy and you want to ask your question live, just raise your hand. Leanne will once again recognize that you have a question. She will unmute you at the opportune time and let you ask your own question. That channel, that line of communication will remain open until we are done answering your question. So two things to remember. First off, you can continue to ask follow-up questions. You can continue to make sure that we are answering the right question. And the second thing to remember is don't eat any Doritos while the microphone is on. So without any further ado, I'm going to press a couple magic buttons here, and we're going to turn things over to Mary Jo, and she is going to tell us all about the salvage bin.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open World Docs, and I'm actually going to delete a document so that I can show you how that works. Obviously, you've probably done that before, but I'm going to go into our test client here for Attorney Computer Systems, and I'm just going to bring up a document I'm going to delete. So this test document here, I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and you should see a screen here when you delete your documents. Now, if you're not a manager, you might not have rights to do the delete or the shred. Managers can give rights to people to delete and shred, but most of the time we see that locked down, and the only option that you have is to move it to the salvage bin. So if you're not seeing the delete or the shred, don't panic. It's because you just do not have permissions to actually shred and not get it back or delete it. That seems to be the most I think the most common settings that we see at our client sites. So you're going to move it to the salvage bin, say OK, and it has moved that document out of my list here, and now it's in the salvage bin. So you're probably thinking, well, where the heck is the salvage bin, and how am I going to get this document back? Well, it's actually over here. I'm going to show you two different ways that you can do this. The first one is over here in your file tree, and I'm under the profile groups. So if I click on my profile groups, I'm getting these up here. This was a client file, so I'm going to go over to my client files here, and I'm just going to scroll down, and I'm actually going to shorten these up a little bit so you can see all my my options. And right here is a salvage bin, right here. So if I click on my little plus sign, it's going to open up a structure that is just like my active clients. Now, this is okay, and if I drag this over just a little bit, you know, I could go in and I could find that particular client. So I knew I did it for Attorney Computer Systems, and it was client 100 is the one that I deleted it for. And if I do my little plus sign here and go to that matter and double click, I will see everything that's in the salvage bin for this particular matter. And here's that document that I had, so I can highlight it and I can say undelete up here in the upper left-hand corner. When I do that and I say yes to undelete it, it puts it right back in to Attorney Computer Systems under this matter exactly where it was before. It's going to restore it to the same place I deleted it from. Now, you might not know, it does give you the name here, but you have to drag that over, but you might not know that client number, or maybe you want to search out there for some other things. So you can actually find your salvage bin documents by going through search. So I'm going to go back into my live client again, and I'm going to delete that file again. So let's get into Attorney Computer Systems. And I'm going to take that same document, and you can see it's back, just as our little test there. It's back under the same place it was before I deleted it. So I'm going to delete it again, send it to the salvage bin, say, okay, it's gone. Now, I have some search settings here that I can do. So I'm going to go into searching the database, bringing up a search here, and I can say search what. And when I click on search what, I can actually search through the salvage bin. So maybe I can't remember which client it was, but I know the name of the document. Or I know some text in there, and I know I deleted it, and I can't, I want to try to find it. I can actually search through the salvage bin, say OK, and then I can search for some text in the file. I can search for my owner-inits, a date, all of those different things. So just let's try this. Let me do Gruel, because I think that was what it was, our document had in it. And I'm going to search the salvage bin, and it found a different document, okay? I think I'm doing, maybe it's doing it by the description now, I don't know. But I can find everything in that that search salvage bin by doing this, by searching that area. And I put in text. It could be, I might have had something different in my description. I don't remember. But I could actually restore, and I can go in and do a restore from there. Once I find that, I can undelete and put it back. So any questions on salvage bin, moving and deleting files and restoring them?
No questions, Mary Jo.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Paul.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Is this a manager-only function, this restoring?
It is.
Or is it something that can be assigned to certain users?
I think you can assign it to certain users, but it would have to be something that you actually give permissions to. It's not something everybody has.
Usually in a firm there's certain people that can undelete documents
that's
or
correct.
remove them from the salvage bin. Okay.
Yep.
So at the very least, know that this is how you can get it back, and maybe you don't have the rights to do it, but it's something that somebody has the rights to do it, and they can go out and find it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about saving under the same profile. And I'm going to use an example that I do with this all the time, and then we're going to talk about some other reasons you'd want to do this. So what that means is that when we go out and we get a document on our screen that we want to save, we are prompted by WorldDocs to put in the client and the matter and the description and everything. And there is a button that says Save as Same Profile, or Same Profile As is, I believe, the exact words that appear on it. And that just makes it easier for us to say, yeah, put it in the same place that this one was, either because you want to replace that one there, or in my example, my first example, it's because you're saving a different file type. So imagine that you're preparing a certain type of document. In my example, it would be a proposal. And it's in my example, it's an Excel. It might be a Word document. It might be anything. And then you want to save a PDF copy of it under the exact same profile, but it'll be different because it's a PDF as opposed to the Excel file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a proposal. Just I have one in here that's kind of a test or a fake proposal. And I'm going to load this document in Excel because that's what it was created in. And I'm going to create a PDF. Now that's just part of the Excel or the Office functionality. You can do this in Word. You can do it in Excel. And I'm going to create a PDF. that is a kind of an exact replica of this proposal, only it's a PDF of it. And to do that, and this isn't part of saving under the same profile, but it's one reason you'd want to do it, I'm going to use Save and Send, and I'm going to create a PDF. And when I do that, World Docs pops up and says, well, what do you want to call it? And I say, well, I could go and type exactly what I had before for the Excel representation of this document. I could put in the client and the matter and the doc type and everything. Or I can hit Same Profile As. And then it says, okay, show me the document that you want to save it under the same profile as. Well, if it's something that you've just had on your screen, as I have, I just go into Favorites, and there it is. And I say, I want it to have the same profile as this document right there. And then finally it says, okay, which fields do you want to be the same? And it defaults to them all being the same. But you could only choose certain ones. Maybe the author is going to be different. Maybe you have a doc type that indicates that it's not just a proposal, but a final proposal or something like that. But that's not the case here. I'm just going to hit OK. And it goes ahead and fills in all these fields so that you don't have to tell it what client, what matter, what doc type, what author and typist, and you don't have to retype that lengthy description. Now, this one's not very lengthy, but a lot of times it is a very lengthy description, and also the comments can be pulled over too. And then when I say OK, Excel goes out and creates that PDF, and World Docs tells me that we've saved it under the same client, under the same sort of profile. Now, when I pull up World Docs and go to my favorite files, which I'll just refresh because I already have them on the screen, now I've got two documents, both saying Proposal for Platinum, both with exactly the same profiles. One's a PDF, one is an Excel. So same profile as is a very simple way to go out and say, put this under the same profile as this other document. Now in this example, it's because I want to create a second one that has the same profile fields, but it's a different type of document. I'm taking an Excel spreadsheet, turning it into a PDF, but I don't want to have to fill in those fields again. Very common to also do the exact same thing with a Word document. You take a Word document that's already been saved, already been profiled, you publish it or print it as a PDF, whatever you call that, and you use same profile as to save it under the same thing. Another common example of how this might happen is you might have a document that you've emailed to somebody, and they're not somebody in the firm, so you didn't send it as a World Docs link that would just open up the document in World Docs. You actually sent them a copy of this document. They've edited it, they've saved it, they've even given it a new name. So now they've emailed it back to you, and you're supposed to put it back in World Docs, either on top of the one that's already there, just replacing it, or maybe as a new version. You can do the exact same thing there. You can open that document. When you go to save it, it's going to not know that it's this document you sent the guy because he's gone and he's changed the name, he's edited it, he's saved it under a different name. So World Docs says, oh, I don't know what this document is, I'm going to let you save it brand new. And you say, no, I want you to save it under the same profile as the document was when I sent it to him. The same profile for the same document that I sent it to him as. And you identify that document, you find it, you use same profile as, and those fields fill in, and you're basically either saving it as a new version or saving it on top of the old one. And that allows you to take this document that you've sent outside the firm, somebody's edited it, somebody's given it a new name, pull it back into World Docs and put it exactly where it was when it started it out, without having to reprofile it and then go in and delete the other document, or without having to somehow pull these together in some other way. So that same profile as, great for when you're printing PDFs of Word documents or Excel files or whatever. Also great for when you've emailed something to somebody and you now need to get it back into World Docs because they went and edited it and also changed the name. Just so you know, if you email a document to somebody and they don't change the name and they pull it, you pull it back in, or they email it back to you, usually as long as that name is the same and that document ID is in that parenthetical note at the end of the document name, usually World Docs will recognize that and it will simply know to put it there. It's when people change the name and they call it something different than it was called when you sent it to them that World Docs has a hard time getting it put back where it belongs, and that's an example of when same profile as will work for you. Do we have any questions on that, on using the same profile as button?
Nope, wait, there is one question.
Okay.
The question is, can you show me again how and where you are printing that Excel or Word document to PDF?
Yeah, if I pull up my Excel spreadsheet, and this is true, I believe in, gosh, is it 2007 or 2010 that Word and Excel got this functionality. But I'm going to File, Save and Send, Create PDF XPS, and then this button here, Create PDF XPS. And that kind of gives me a, if I didn't have World Docs running right now, it would be giving me a Save As PDF sort of dialog box. World Docs instead is popping up and saying, I'll put the document away for you. So to summarize real quickly, it's File, Save and Send, Create PDF XPS, and then here. Now, if you use this a lot, well, I guess I can't do it here. You can go edit your quick clicks bar so that you would have Create PDF XPS right up here. This is just the way I've always done it, and I'm very old. I'm 52 years old, and old habits die hard with somebody of my age, so it's the way I do it. But quick access, you could take this button here and put it up here. But if you don't have it up there, it's File, Save and Send, Create PDF XPS, and then Create PDF XPS. Any more questions, Leanne?
Nope, there are no other questions.
Awesome. Well, that is it for today. Next month in our World Docs Virtual User Group meeting, we're going to be talking about advanced Boolean searching. We talked about proximity searching, I believe, last month. So now we're going to get into ands and ors and parentheses and all the neat things that you can do when you're forming a search and to really zero in on a document on the first search instead of having to do multiple searches to try and get to the right document. I'll be talking about that, and Mary Jo's going to talk about some things we've learned about being able to print from World Docs. So those are our two topics for next month. I do want to point out that if you go to our website, which is www.attorneycomputersystems, and I emphasize that S right here in the very end of our name, attorneycomputersystems.com, you will find that we have recorded versions of all our virtual user group meetings every month, tabs, Practice Master, and World Docs. And if you go to the World Docs virtual user group meeting page, you will find the registration for the current webinar, the current VUG. That's today. That's what we're attending right now. And down below, then, you will find recorded versions of all the other versions, all the other VUGs that we've had before. So there's quite a bit of video content on the website dealing with tabs and Practice Master and, of course, World Docs. We also have a monthly webinar where we talk about different products and different add-ons and different things you can do. Mary Jo has her eBytes video series of short 4 or 5 minute videos on a very succinct topic. And then we have the more expanded Paul and Mary Jo show, our studio television show format, where we take a topic and really kind of dig into it a little more deeply. So that's all there for you. Take advantage of it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everybody have a good rest of the afternoon, good rest of the month, and we will see you in November. Thanks much. Bye-bye.